So here we are in video 2, also talking about nourishment. Like I mentioned in my last one, thinking about nourishment from the state of food and ingesting things that feel wholesome, that feel good in the body. And if you want to learn more, be sure to watch that video. I'm someone who's on the path of learning how to just feel good in my body, to feel happy, to feel healthy. And these are some of the things that I've learned on my path that might benefit you on your own. But coming back to nourishment, this sort of second video is all about nourishing, coming from a state of experience. So when we think about nourishment, often we think about food, like what is the food that we're ingesting? But nourishment can also be, am I being nourished by my environment? Am I being nourished by the people I hang out with? Am I being nourished by what I watch? Am I being nourished by, what does my house look like? What does my yard look like? What is my surroundings? And because this is so important, because of the field of epigenetics, that's all about your environment is essentially responsible for turning on certain genetic expressions. So it's a really beautiful science that's been discovered, I believe, in the 1980s, but I love it. I love the idea of the plasticity and of things that are not concrete. I like the fluidity, not a surprise, but it's just really beautiful to know that our environment can affect how we feel and what genetic expressions are being turned on and turned off, are being activated. And I'm an art brain. I'm a very fluid brain person. I'm not 100% science or logical, so there's a lot of research out there that you can investigate in your own, but it's things that I have read quite a bit about, and I find it just endlessly fascinating. Sometimes we'll have these different hereditary diseases and things that happen. Okay, heart disease. Yeah, my dad had it. This person had it, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to get it too. So if you're living the same way as relative X, Y, and Z, you're probably going to get it because maybe your house is the same. Maybe the food is the same. Maybe you're managing stress in the same exact way that this person did. And so there's a lot of courage that comes from pivoting your path, right? Like, do I show up the same way as the generations before me, or do I pivot? Do I change the angle of my life, and do I honor something new inside myself, something that can change the whole trajectory, that can heal the past and can heal the future, can give my children a better and more beautiful life, that can give me a better and more beautiful life? And it's to no shame of the previous generation. When you know better, you do better. It's something that Maya Angelou said, and it's very true. And what's really beautiful and what I'm learning on my path is that when we know better and we create the intention behind our action and we decide to change, we decide, I want to be nourished in a different way, we're activating a whole different slew, a different cocktail of hormones, of endorphins, of all these things, these expressions that happen inside the body. We're giving ourselves permission to show up differently. And, it's like, bless those before us who essentially carried the torch to get us to where we are today. Like, I think that's phenomenal and it's beautiful and it's empowering, but it's up to us to say, hey, I want to be different and I'm going to break that habit today. I really love the work of Joe Dispenza, his book that's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's like this permission slip that we can give ourselves in our current body and who we are to say, I want to be different today. I don't want to be nourished by the same things that my parents were nourished by. I want to move forward. I want to see that. I want to learn from it. I want to be the bird in the tree observing. I'm like, oh, that's not working for them. I can't change anybody, but I can move forward in this other direction. And it's really, there's a moth. It's really beautiful when we give ourselves that little permission slip to be like, wow, what do I want to be nourished by? And that's something I think about a lot. Again, not an expert, but someone who likes to ruminate, to think about these things. I have my North Node in Pisces, so I'm all about thinking deep in the waters of life and, contemplating what's possible and really riding those beautiful emotional waves of life and of understanding. And so if I choose today to be nourished by something different, I'm creating a new path forward. And to me, that's the best gift that I can give myself. And so what am I watching? Do I notice when I watch X, I feel a contraction inside my body? When I watch this other thing, I feel light, right? I'm not saying don't watch bad things, but just tune into your body, observe it. Okay, yeah, I do feel a contraction when I listen to this, when I hear this. And that's good to know. Do I continue to keep watching it to stay informed, or XYZ? You know, it's up to you. We all have our own sovereign choices. We can choose to unplug from certain spaces, or we can choose to curate what we look at and what we watch and what we're inspired by. And again, it comes to also curating your surroundings. What are you wearing? Is it coming from fast fashion? Is it secondhand? Is it a vintage item? Is it a company with ethical standards? Is it a 1% for the planet? You know, in the smallest of ways, what can we do to really bring new and fresh insight into our lives and into the ecosystem, the friend, family, the people that we interact with? How can we use our intentionality to change the trajectory and just emanate that change forward? We don't have to preach unless that's our calling, right? We don't have to be like, hey, do this, do this, do this. It's going to change your life. People will feel it. They will sense it. And they will like, wow, Jennifer is vibing in this new way. She's really happy. What is she doing? You know, she must be doing something. I want to learn about it, so I'm going to ask. And so that's something that I think about a lot. Like, I'm like, what do I need to kind of, like habits, right? You can't just have a new habit. You let go of a habit. You have to let go of it and put something new in its place. Otherwise, you're going to have this vacancy. So it's like in my physical reality, in my home, I look at it and I'm like, oh, is this like the vibration that I want? Is this the feeling that I want? Is this, you know, comfortable? Is it all these things? And how can I let go of something? And then how can I bring something new into my space and into my world that's going to elicit the response that I want? You know, this is a topic I could talk about for eons, but the main crux that I want to get across is just this notion that we can choose what makes us feel wholesome, each of us individually, and it might not be the same as someone else, and that's okay. It's our own path, it's our own sovereignty, it's our own body, it's our own ecosystem, it's our own ways of managing stress. If you're noticing that your environment is eliciting stress, then chances are you might need to bump something out, you know, and that's not an easy thing to do. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but it's also respecting yourself, and it's respecting your boundaries. It's respecting the integrity of your heart, of your being, of your soul. And I do this all the time. I will purge and let go of things constantly because I'm realizing, oh man, this is not lifting me to where I want to be, and I'm ready to compost this. I'm ready to let go of something. And sometimes it's a physical object, but sometimes it's a pattern that I've connected to. And often it's a pattern rooted in fear. It's rooted in disbelief. It's rooted in not good enough. It's rooted in just like this deep, heavy, dense vibration of fear. And it's not pretty. It's not fun. And I know it's something that we have to go through. We have to kind of feel it. We can't just shove it under the rug, right? Like it's kind of just knowing and trusting that somatically, somewhere in the body, there's something living. And how can I release that energy? How can I bring some sweetness to this darkness or this difficult area? How can I just see it, honor it, observe it, say, wow, thank you for teaching me a lesson. I'm ready to be nourished by something else now. Or thank you for preserving my identity, but I'm not afraid of this anymore, and I'm ready to move on. I recognize it. So it's a box full of beauty and a box full of contemplations, and just thinking from more of like a spiritual standpoint, like what is nourishment for me? What am I doing in a day that's nourishing? Am I doing the things that are getting me in the direction that I want to go in my lifetime to feel fully nourished? What are the actions that I'm doing? What are the thoughts that I'm having? And does that align with what I truly believe to be nourishing? So my encouragement to you is to maybe journal and just say, like, what is nourishment to me? How do I fully feel nourished in this state of being that I'm in? And being okay if that changes over time. You know, maybe doing every month, every, you know, a lunar event, right? You can use those as ways to do it every year, every day, whatever it needs to be. Like, what is going to nourish me today? And even as someone with a moon cycle, right? Like, how can we nourish ourselves with the changing of the tides, or these parts of ourselves that are different, you know, and that's okay. Like what is nourishing one day might not be nourishing another day. And just trusting, knowing in our different energy levels, in our different fascinations and different parts of life where we might experience the highs or the lows, and giving yourself a lot of grace and love in those spaces. So I hope you found this entertaining. I hope it posited some questions for you inside your heart to sit with and to really consider, am I nourishing myself, not just in a food, right? Food's awesome, it's great, but am I nourishing myself in my environment and what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling? Because I think those are just as important. They're not always quantifiable in scientific spaces, but I believe that the body is its own mechanism for truth. And we can feel that, and I know we all can do it. It's just we have to turn down the noise and listen to our own internal signal. So may you find something nourishing and really connect to that space today. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment or I guess a thumbs up, something like that. But thank you so much, and wishing you a beautiful day. Thank you. Okay.